Okay, let's get things going. So I'll kick it over to Sean to get things started.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Appreciate everybody coming online and jumping in for what is our second of hopefully many of these quarterly cadences. We wanted to do something a little bit different this time. We've seen, to kind of kick off these the cadences, we want to have a bit of a guest speaker at everyone. So we're thrilled to have Jackie Forrest on the line with us. I'm going to throw it over to Jackie to introduce herself, and then we can kind of get in. If there's any questions or any questions that come from the audience, just please use the Q&A and we'll be able to record them. But I'll throw it over to Jackie to introduce herself.
Great. Thanks, Sean, and happy to be here. Well, I'm from the ARC Energy Research Institute, which is an integral part of ARC Financial. I lead the research group, and we cover the outlook for energy, whether it be oil and gas or clean energy. We have a focus on Canada, but we're also watching, especially when it comes to clean energy, what's going on in the US. And of course, when it comes to oil and gas, we have to watch not only what's going on in North America, but the global market. So happy to talk about any topics as it relates to energy, and that includes prices, but also policy.
Awesome. Yeah, so we got a couple questions that came in pre the meeting. So let's just kick it right off. And again, encourage the audience to jump in and ask anything. But what's your view on oil and gas prices, Jackie, as you see kind of, it's been a crazy, I would say, a couple of years, but yeah.
Yeah, right. It's really hard, obviously, to predict oil and gas prices if over the last 2 or 3 years, all these events that have occurred that make it sometimes hard to predict, but people still want to know. So yeah, we do have a view on both of those. I will just give you some context to the last 3 months or 4 months. I mean, we sat around $70 for most of May and June. But in July, things popped up. We're over $80 today. And, we believe the market's starting to recognize the tightness that's already here and should stick around towards the end of the year. We really do have quite a tight market when you consider those OPEC cuts. And because this recession hasn't really occurred yet, demand still is quite strong. The market looks very, very tight. In fact, we may be actually having inventories go down to the range of 2 million barrels a day, because that's how much more we're consuming than we're producing in the second half of the year. So the fundamentals are looking quite good. There's, other things that have been supportive is things like, Russian production maybe showing signs that it's starting to be constrained, as well as the OPEC cuts. So I think that looks quite good. I would just caution you as we look into next year, there's actually a lot of non-OPEC supply coming onto the market. And even if we don't have a recession, it looks like there could be enough supply that OPEC can't really increase their production very much. So we are really reliant on OPEC right now, and I think we will be even into next year. But as long as OPEC continues to cut and keep the market tight, I think prices can stay in the band that we've lived in here, the $70 to $80 range. And there's potential for even higher prices into this quarter and next, because there is such market tightness and inventory levels are actually fairly low already and could get drawn down even more. So it's looking quite constructive. And that's really what the market started to recognize here in the last month on the oil. On the gas, it's struggling here in North America. If we went to this time last year, we had something like $8 or $9 gas at Henry Hub. I think we're at about $2.66 as of today at Henry Hub. We're suffering from the fact that we had a big glut that was created last winter because of the warm weather and because of an LNG export terminal that was out of commission that reduced the LNG exports over what was expected. I think it could take a good part of the rest of this year and even into next year to work this glut off. The thing with gas prices is weather can make a big difference. If we get a very cold winter, that could change. But right now, our view is gas prices are probably going to be pretty challenged here the next 9 months or so. But if we look out a bit longer term, we do think it's pretty constructive for gas in North America. We got a lot of LNG exports coming. Producers aren't drilling as much as they used to. In fact, they're curtailing their drilling right now because of the low prices. So we do think longer term, it looks quite constructive.
Nice. Okay, well, that's good insight. I think that is a very good way to break down, which I think can be a complicated, how do they even get gas? How do they get oil and gas prices? So the next one that we talked about that was asked, so Canada just struggles with, wide and volatile price discounts just because, lack of capacity or so pipelines. What are you guys seeing for that coming in the future for Canada specifically?
Well, it has been a really difficult 10 years. It just seems we've really suffered a lot from production growing more than our takeaway capacity. And as soon as we get new takeaway capacity, we grow and we're short again. We do think that things are looking more constructive as we look forward. On the oil side, everyone knows the TMX pipeline, the pipeline that's going to go between Edmonton and Burnaby, BC, is very close to being complete. The expectation is that we'll be operating next year, and that should give us surplus takeaway capacity on the oil side, something we haven't had in a long time, and that should enable us to have more predictable differentials and less volatility in that, and that's going to be welcome news. The other thing that's helpful is, although the oil industry continues to grow, it's not growing at the pace it was before. So hopefully that additional capacity will last us for some time. So the oil's looking much better. On natural gas, we've suffered as well. I mean, those have been following AECO prices, the Alberta natural gas price. It's been very, very low since 2017, sometimes trading like $1 and at a big discount to American prices. Things have already gotten better this summer. There was quite a bit of expansion work. It was called the 2021 expansion, but it didn't finish until recently. But that's already helped this summer in terms of avoid some of the big discounts as we did maintenance work and allow gas to get into storage, which was a problem in other summers. So that's already better. And looking forward, we have things like the Coastal Link coming in 2025, maybe even sooner, which is going to create a whole bunch of additional takeaway capacity for Western Canadian gas. So that combined with the fact that producers aren't growing as rapidly as they used to, I think things will be better, or hopefully our differentials will be a lot more predictable and less volatile. But that is still on the come. I think over the next few years, we'll see those changes, and that'll be a welcome relief for Canadian producers.
Excellent. So that ties in well with the previous question too. So you can see that there's hope, and we'll see where it lands. I want to shift a little bit, just clean energy and the capital that's being spent on projects for that. How does that compare to oil and gas, and like where is that clean energy capital being spent?
Right. Well, it may surprise people, but $1.1 trillion globally was spent on what's considered to be clean energy. And compare that to oil and gas, that was like less than half of that. So clean energy is already a very significant thing. In terms of where that's spent, about over 500 million, almost half, is being spent on renewables and wind and solar, and they continue to grow each year. I think they grew something like 20% year on year last year. But it may surprise you that almost equal to that today is electric cars. So electric cars spending got close to 500 million last year and grew something like 50% year on year. So electric cars have really hit the tipping point, and we're really starting to see significant capital investment in that sector, and that includes things like the infrastructure to support them as well. So we think that electric cars are going to continue to grow and probably be larger than renewables in the next year, if not 2 years. So it is a significant thing. There's lots of real money going into some areas. Now, there are lots of areas that are still nascent and still very little capital spending, even ones we talk about a lot. For example, hydrogen gets talked about a lot, but last year only $1 billion of CapEx went, $1 billion, of CapEx went into that. Things like battery storage, I think, is something like 15 billion, CCS, something like 5 or 6 billion. These are areas that I think are set to grow. The policy's supportive. And I think over the next few years, they're going to become much, much bigger areas as well, but they're fairly small as of 2022.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a staggering amount of capital for an industry. So that's great. A bit about greenhouse gas emissions. Are oil and gas producers actually reducing it? Like, is there stats out there? Is there data? How about that? And then do you have it in the US as well?
Right. Well, so for Canada, yes, if you go to the latest national inventory report, you will see the changes in emissions. Big change for oil sands from 1990 or even 2005 till now. And we also have reductions in conventional oil and gas as well. And I think more to come. As you know, the Alberta government, but actually the federal government's required this, so this is required in all jurisdictions in Canada, is to reduce the methane emissions associated with oil and gas production. And for conventional production, that's where the vast majority of the emissions are coming from. It's coming from either methane being vented, flared, or just leaking. And there's very strict regulations that are requiring producers to go in and change the types of equipment they use, change the types of valves that no longer emit methane, but emit air or use electricity. And so the Alberta government actually just put out a report showing the reduction in methane emissions just within Alberta by their counting, and what their expectation is with the mandates that are out right now, which are targeting partial reduction. The end goal for the federal government is a 75% reduction by, I think, 2030. And we're expecting new rules coming to get us there. So, even the rules we have today have already made a big difference. So yeah, the intensity of our emissions is changing, but I will say one thing that's pretty important is that we still are increasing the absolute amount of our emissions in many cases, even though the intensity of each BOE that we produce, or each barrel of oil we produce, or each cubic foot of gas is going down. Because we're increasing our production, if you go look at the absolute emissions from the oil and gas sector, you will still see some growth in Canada. And that's because the production is growing. And so that's causing the absolute emissions to go up. I think that trend is going to start to change as well, though, especially if we start to see some of these big carbon capture storage projects move forward, as well as, the methane rules. When it comes to the US, I haven't tracked their oil and gas as well. They just recently came out with their methane rules. And so I kind of expect that you wouldn't see sort of the same trends in the US so far as Canada. But I do think that because of those methane rules, they're probably going to start to see some decent reductions in their oil and gas sector as well.
Yeah, that again, a staggering percentage. If I had one thing that out of all of that, like 75%. So the spending better be there, I guess, right, from the previous question to get there. So
yeah, for sure.
Last one that I kind of got here is just considering the demand outlook for oil and gas. How long does it take to make sense and to keep spending money on oil and gas wells? So we got all these other sources of energy that we've talked about and the spending on them, and what it's doing for outcomes, and just do you have any insight into that? Like how long it makes sense to be spending on oil and gas?
Well, it's a question that I'm sure a lot of you are thinking about, even in terms of your own careers, and especially when you kind of keep hearing that we're going to get off oil and gas. Our view, there's lots of scenarios out there in terms of the future of the demand for oil and gas. And I'll just refer to some done by the IEA, which is a fairly well-respected agency, and a lot of people look at their reports. They do put out a fair amount of public information about their reports as well. But they have 3 scenarios about the future of oil and gas demand. And one is called the net zero scenario, which is pretty drastic. It's basically going from today over 100 million barrels a day of oil demand down to something like 30 by 2050. So really drastic reduction. They have one called the announced pledges, which is if every country meets in full and on time their commitments, like net zero 2050 commitments that have been made and the commitments to the Paris Agreement. Then in that case, we'd see something like a 40% reduction between now and 2050. And then there's the kind of business as usual. They call it the current policies or the stated policies. And that one actually sees oil demand stay fairly steady between now and 2050. So, wow, what a wide range of potential outcomes to think about, right? So we've done a fair amount of work to look at what's really possible when you think about the threats to oil demand. For example, the biggest threat is electric cars. And we modeled the global fleet and how fast you could move the over 1 billion vehicles that are combustion engines today into electric. When you consider the fact that, we have to ramp up the supply chain to be able to build enough electric cars, and that only, cars that are on the road, actually the existing combustion engine vehicles that are sold this year are on the road something like 20 years. So it takes a very long time to change out the existing fleet and to move in the new electric fleet. And so when we consider a very aggressive adoption of electric cars, along with some pretty aggressive reductions in the other sources of oil demand, because remember, light duty vehicles is only about 30% of all oil demand. And actually, we don't have commercial alternatives to oil in many of the other uses that we have today. For example, we don't have like a Tesla-like company offering planes or ships or railway cars or railway engines today that use an alternative. So it's hard to see how those come down so fast when there are no alternatives to oil. So in our view, that 30 to 40% reduction by 2050 is sort of the floor for oil demand. We really have a hard time seeing how it can happen practically any faster than that. And in that scenario, you actually still need ongoing new investment in oil and gas, believe it or not. It seems like still a fairly big reduction, but as many of you probably appreciate, the existing oil and gas wells that we have today decline faster than that. So even in that type of scenario, you still need ongoing capital expenditures on oil and gas in order to meet the consumption that people will have. So we think over the next 20 years, there's still ongoing need for significant investment in oil and gas, even in that kind of floor case. And we'll need people and in the industry to do that.
Well, that's exciting. Great segue. So Jackie, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody trying to something different here, and Jackie's very well respected in her field, so we're honored to have you on and kind of kick this thing off for us. So thanks, Jackie.
Okay, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thanks. So Cohen, I'll throw it over to you to kind of set up the next kind of segment here, and we'll get into what I think is pretty important. You just heard a macro outlook of everything in the industry. Like I said, Jackie's very well respected and has a very large audience in North America. So there's some good insights there, and we're gonna show you how to optimize and work those. So Cohen, over to you.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Sean. And thanks so much to Jackie as well. Dropping a link in the chat there if you want to hear more from Jackie. She's got an excellent podcast, Arc Energy Ideas. So definitely recommend go check that out. It's one of the favorites here around IronSight. But yeah, we got pretty exciting presentations for you and some demos as well from our panelists. So I'll throw that over to Steven Visser, our Senior Product Manager, and he's going to kick off our presentations.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Cohen, and thanks to Jackie. We're going from the macro level, from the whole industry down to the micro. We're going to be breaking down how our product works and how it handles those oil and gas workflows, and also workflows that other industries use as well. So my name is Steven Visser. I'm a Senior Product Manager at IronSight. And today I'll be breaking down how we build your workflows in IronSight. Every company runs their business differently. We see hundreds of different workflows happening each day on our platform. So some customers reduce downtime by chewing through their maintenance backlog in order to spend more time on preventative maintenance. Some reduce incidents by digitizing and standardizing their safety program and getting rich real-time insights based on that data. And some do end up doing more business by reducing the amount of busy work and paperwork in their hauling operations. So each of these use cases is radically different, yet each is simple and natural in IronSight. So I'll break down how that happens in our platform. If you're familiar with our product, you've heard the workflow steps that we constantly repeat: request, schedule, execute, document, and analyze. We'll show you how these look later on in the demo. And each stage's behavior can be customized using standard blocks like Lego. Looking at how your business works today and how you want to work, we select the blocks that you need. For example, maintenance work needs additional detail to help coordinators make prioritization decisions and guide field workers when they make repairs. In this case, we add additional fields that are filled out at request time when the job is created. Information also needs to be collected in the field once that work has started. One example of this is actual volumes for production accounting collected on delivery. Another example is work that needs client approval after it's been completed. We'll talk about both of those in a little bit more detail later. One thing I want to highlight here is that if you use IronSight, you find that all of this information is not shown at once. We use these blue buttons to draw the field worker or coordinator to whatever action's next. In this way, despite having a complex workflow, we keep it simple for everyone involved. Companies also have all kinds of unique documentation requirements. For example, transport companies will want to export bill of lading or transportation of dangerous goods, or TDG, documentation. These formats can be customized to adhere to your company's requirements and those of regulators. For example, IronSight is one of the first companies in Canada to become certified to do electronic TDG paperwork. This is exciting as it means each haul no longer needs to be accompanied by physical documentation. When it comes to analysis and reporting, we offer lots of flexibility as well. On the safety side, we have dashboards that highlight dangerous trends and ensure adherence to safety objectives. Maintenance dashboards show backlog size and daily progress. Additionally, dashboards can be used to present information in the right format for external systems. We'll show how this can be used to export invoices to QuickBooks. Lastly, we know that your business already has many different systems in use. IronSight is designed to easily allow bringing data in or out of your systems. Some systems sync data into IronSight. A CMMS system like eMaint sends work to the field through IronSight. Locations must be kept up to date with asset management systems like SAP. Other systems receive field data from IronSight, where an example of that is field tickets that are delivered to systems like Enverus's OpenTicket. All of these workflows I've discussed here are made possible with our brand new administration experience. We've made it faster than ever, able to handle tens of thousands of locations, people, and trucks. And we've simplified the experience so it's easier to manage the work that you do. We're also very excited about two highly requested features. You are able to use the admin portal on the go on your mobile device. And you can also enable dark mode if that's your thing. The new admin portal will be released as a beta starting tomorrow, and we expect to roll it out to everyone in mid-September. Using this admin portal, we're going to show today how we can digitize a field ticket. This trucking company hauls fluid. No matter which business you're in, you'll recognize some form of this work ticket. In Pack Energy's example here, we have details about the work being done, the safety protocol to follow before beginning work, the information you need to have on hand for dangerous good transportation, an accounting of actuals from a scale or meter, additional line items, including a measure of time or mileage or additional services, and lastly, a client approval of work. So the familiar paper-based ticket has many limitations. It's not real time, it can get lost or damaged, it's prone to errors, and it's difficult to collaborate on across multiple parties. But one of the biggest issues with a paper ticket is that information usually always needs to go somewhere to another system. And with paper, admins have to enter this data manually, which is time-consuming and error-prone. To dive into how this works, I'll hand it over to Adam, who's going to show how this workflow represented by that paper work ticket can be converted into a digital one.
Hey everybody, this is Adam Jessam from IronSight. So I'm one of the co-founders, and prior to building software, IronSight actually started out as an oil field trucking company. And over here on the left-hand side of my screen, you can see one of our paper tickets from back in the day. So our drivers would fill these out on every single job. You can imagine how they important are to both the service provider and the energy producer, just with all that information that's on there. And over the years, we've worked with hundreds of fluid hauling companies, and what's shown here is an industry standard. So we've made it really easy to collect it all with off-the-shelf components that are available in our new admin portal, which you'll see over here on the right. So in this demo, our goal will be to create a new workflow that collects all the same information you see on the left. So as a new admin, when I want to create this, I would just come into our new admin portal and hit this new button. And this is where I start configuring how I would capture all this information. So the core details that I'm kind of circling with my mouse here on the left, the who, what, when, where, and why. In IronSight, when you're creating a job, those sections are there by default. That's the core information that every job will have. So really what we're going to configure is the additional stuff that's specific to this workflow. So I'm just going to name it haul oil. That's the name of the activity. We can see over here on the left that there's an approval required. So in IronSight, I will say, yes, there's a manual approval required. Then I can choose which of my resource types, can perform this work. In this case, it's a vac truck. And as I scroll down, I can start configuring the different PDF templates, meaning in that job in IronSight, I can download it in multiple formats. So in this case, because the workflow requires speccing out the dangerous goods being hauled, I'll make sure that that's turned on. And then for the other sections, which are production accounting and a copy of the scale ticket, some pre-job safety form, timesheet for payroll purposes, and then extra billable line items. So we can capture those from the driver using what we call job forms. So right here, I'll say I want the employee timesheet, the field level hazard assessment, line items, and production accounting to be mandatorily filled out by the driver. That's for what it's moving. Oil is the only valid inventory type. From there, I can press save, and I've now created a new workflow. So just to show you, now that we've created that, what it actually looks like for the end users, so dispatchers and field workers. I'll bring up IronSight's web-based dispatch hub, which you can see on the left. So this is what dispatchers use throughout the day to coordinate work. Then over on the right, I'm mirroring my phone screen. And this is what a field worker, like a tradesperson or a driver, would be using. So we just created that new workflow called Haul Oil, and I'll show you what it's like to create a job. So we start by filling out the core information, the division, the requester's name. In this case, it's going to be a vac truck that is hauling oil. So this is that new activity that we just created. I'm going to assign it to vac truck number 87. And what they'll be doing is moving oil from Sherwood Park well number 1234, 30 cubic meters over to East Plant. It starts right away, and then I can just put in some additional details here. And when I press save, you'll see that job pop into vac truck number 87's schedule here. And yeah, just to show you what another workflow would look like, I have this other job sitting up here in the queue called site work. And I'll just drag and drop that down to vac truck 87 as well. So focusing over on the right-hand side is the driver. I can open up today and I can see the jobs that I have to accomplish today. So I wanted to show a really simple one where we haven't really configured any extra data collection, and that would be the site work activity. So when I open that up, I can see where I need to go, what time, some additional details. And as a driver, I just keep hitting that big blue button to advance to the next step. So when I'm about to head out, I'll just press start. And the job will now go active. Over here on Dispatch Hub, we can begin tracking the real-time location of that truck, and we can see that their job is now active. And once they're at the site and they've completed the work, they can just slide to complete it. So there wasn't any extra information that the driver needed to input. It was fairly simple. But if you remember, that haul oil workflow that we created had a few more job forms that were attached to it that the driver will be prompted to fill out. So when I open up this one, you can see the locations that I'll need to visit, the times, what I need to move. And then in the section down below, you can see that I'll need to fill out a production accounting, enter some billable line items, hazard assessment, and my timesheet. So before I start my job, I usually like to do my field level hazard assessment. So I'll just click fill out and start going through the possible hazards I might encounter. In this case, it's going to be working in extreme heat. And my plan to eliminate or control that hazard is to, say, drink water. From there, I can just continue going through the possible hazards, but in this case, that's all I'm going to fill out, and I'll press submit. So now you can see on the job here, we have filled out one of the 4 forms that are required. Now I'm ready to start my job. So press the big blue start button, and I'll get directions to Sherwood Park Well using IronSight here. So I can get directions, pulls me over into Google Maps. I can drive over. load the 30 cubes of oil, and then I'm off to East Plant to unload. So again, I can get directions over to that site, drive over. Once I've unloaded, I'm often presented with a scale ticket that the scale measured my actual quantity offloaded. And so I can capture that information on this job as well. So I hit the big blue button again, and I put in the actual volume was 30.111. My water cut was 0.4, and I can take a photo of the printout. Okay, so from there, you can see I've now filled out the second of 4 required forms. The next one is I need to enter some additional charges. So I'm going to put in a swamper at 1 hour, and then I use 20 feet of remote hose, and the rest are not applicable to this job. Finally, I can fill out my employee timesheet. So this is for payroll purposes, and I'm going to put in 1 hour field time, no shop time, and press submit. So now you'll see that the button in IronSight will say, now you can slide to complete the job. And that's because I've entered in all of the required information. So now I'll just slide to complete, and the job will now go into a pending approval status where it needs to be reviewed by my office staff and the client for approval. So to show you what that looks like over on the schedule again, so this is vac truck 87. I can see the 2 jobs that they completed here. I'm going to open up that haul oil job. And had I been traveling around, you could see my GPS breadcrumbs of where I was while performing the job. The plan versus actual time of the job, the locations that I visited, what was moved. And down below, you can see the production accounting information. So as an admin, it's my job to confirm that 30.111 matches what's shown here on the photo, and in this case it does, so no corrections to be made. I can go up and look at the GPS breadcrumbs of that truck, and looks like they didn't charge for 1 hour of travel time, so I'm just going to edit the line items to include that charge. And finally, I can review their employee timesheet. That looks correct, and their field level hazard assessment. So it looks like Adam here is doing a great job of doing his pre-trip safety assessments, and we'll have to give him kudos for that. Okay, so the other part that we need to show you is the downloading the PDF. So when I download the PDF, we've configured 2 different options. First option is just the standard one. So this will look a lot like your existing paper tickets, and it just has all of that required information. So when I open it up, you can see the client who provided it, who, what, when, where, and why, and then also all of the additional information that the driver put in. We can also download it as a TDG shipping document. So this is really exciting because IronSight is one of 3 softwares that is currently helping service providers go digital with their TDG. So when I open that up, you can see that all of IronSight's job data is formatted in a way that meets Transport Canada's regulations. Finally, as an office admin, we can give them access to analytics dashboards, which can help them monitor KPIs on total revenue, look at revenue per job, their daily fluid haul revenue. And so for all of those line items that we entered, IronSight can store the rates in the background. So in that job that we just completed, we can see $318 is the total for that ticket. So in addition to these KPIs that we can track, there's also export tables that we provide. So for those timesheets that were entered, we can display all the submissions here. We can format it in a way that you can import that into your existing payroll system. The one we want to go into a bit more detail on here is a table that can be exported into your invoicing system like QuickBooks. So I'm just going to filter this dashboard for, let's say, August 11th to the 13th is what I'm invoicing today. I'll go down to this table and I'll just quickly download the CSV. Then I'll go into QuickBooks here. and I'll jump into get paid. And I'm going to import a new invoice. So I'll select that file that I just downloaded from IronSight. And then this is just mapping the fields into QuickBooks. So I'll start the import. And just like magic, we've created 2 invoices for 3 days of work in IronSight, which has saved an admin hours of data entry. To show you what the invoice would actually look like, I'll just open one up here. You can see that for each job in IronSight, it's provided as a line item. And we also include the dollar amount for each ticket. And then we can attach the field ticket backups, which we downloaded from IronSight. So I'm just going to attach that to the QuickBooks PDF here. And it's just a merged copy of all the IronSight jobs. So the point being here is that we can really streamline things for service providers, especially their office admins. So that's what I wanted to show. And yeah, we'll throw it back over to Craig, who can talk about our new dispatching flows.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Craig Cairns. I'm a staff engineer at IronSight, and I'm excited to have the opportunity today to share with you all what my team and I have been working on. So for the past couple of months, we've been working closely with our customers to streamline the job assignment workflow. For many jobs, coordinators follow a complex decision tree when selecting a vendor that involves rate comparisons, distance calculations, phone calls, and lots of decisions to check availability. In other cases, a dispatcher just needs one of their trusted vendors to do the job, and they want a response fast. We set out to build a tool that could eliminate this grunt work, but still give dispatchers the control and flexibility they need to do their job. From that, we've come up with a brand new approach to scheduling that we call pools. Pools allow dispatchers to request availability from multiple service providers at once, and even group them based on availability, rate sheets, safety records, performance, location, or anything else you can dream up. Out of the box, we offer support for broadcast pools. Broadcast pools allow you to request availability from all your service providers at once, or you can group your service providers into stages so that your top picks get exclusive access to jobs before expanding the request to the rest of your network. Broadcast pools optimize for response time for jobs you need done soon. In this example, I've pre-configured my top vendors to have a 30-minute exclusivity window to claim a job before the next tier will receive the request. I'd prefer to have my top pick, but I don't want to wait around if they aren't available. When a job is assigned to a pool, each vendor will receive a request for availability. They can decline the job to remove the job from their queue and notify the dispatchers that they aren't available, or they can claim it by clicking accept, and they'll be assigned immediately. So broadcast pools will let you manually define your rankings ahead of time or on the fly, which is perfect for straightforward use cases. But for a more dynamic approach, we've also built integration pools. Integration pools allow you to use real-time data and custom logic to come up with rankings right at assignment time. You can connect your rate sheets in Excel, calculate trip distance, use real-time fuel prices, or anything else you can dream up. So to help solidify this, let's just hop right into a demo. Okay, so in this window here, I'm logged in as a dispatcher for an energy producer. And you can see right at the top of the queue, I've got a bunch of requests for deliveries to different well sites. So today, prior to pools, I would take one of these requests. I'd look at one of my 5 service providers, and I need to make a decision here to pick one of them. So maybe I know Express Logistics is the best choice for today. Maybe I have some prior knowledge, or I've talked to that dispatcher, so I can make that decision. So I could drag this down here. So that's what it looks like today. But now with pools, I can pop into this job. Rather than selecting just one, I can assign to a broadcast pool. So when I do this, This is going to send an availability request to all 5 of those service providers at the same time. So let's just give that a shot. So now if I pop over here, in this window, I'm logged in as a dispatcher for Swift delivery services. So that's one of my service providers here. So we've got job number 2, assigned to Swift delivery. We can find that job right here. In this case, I'm going to decide that I can't actually do that job. Too busy. So I'm just going to decline it. Now, if I go back over here, you can see in real time, the energy producer dispatcher was notified that Swift delivery can't do this job.
All right, so the next topic we wanted to cover here is the improvements we made to our app for dispatchers. So we have a lot of dispatchers in our company, actually. We wanted to improve what people can do on the go. So for a bit of background, since 2017, over 1 million jobs and form submissions have been completed on IronSight's mobile app by field workers. Our mobile app has always been optimized for the field worker role. So we're talking about truck drivers and tradespeople. They have relatively few jobs assigned at once. So we strived for simplicity, showing only one day at a time, limiting the number of complex and unnecessary filtering and searching controls, just to help provide focus. And then over the years, the trend we see is that coordinators don't want to be tethered to their desks. So as an example, there could be a command center dispatcher who needs to temporarily go out into field to do a safety form, or it could just be a field supervisor that coordinates their crews and they're basically permanently out on job sites. It was a bit of a challenge to do their job on our mobile app, since dispatchers often are looking after hundreds of jobs per day. We'd often hear, if only your mobile app had the same level of filtering, searching that we have on IronSight's web-based dispatch hub. So to remind you what those controls are, you can look at the left-hand screen here, and we have a robust set of filters. You're able to view jobs across an unlimited date range. You can quickly search for jobs by keyword. You can sort on a number of columns. And there's a streamlined dispatch flow that's guided by our big blue buttons. Over the last quarter, our mobile team's goal was to help our dispatchers and coordinators by packing these powerful controls into our mobile app. So we have achieved this goal in our most recent release to the App Store. You can now run your field operations on the road, on the job site, or even from your couch. You're able to easily schedule jobs and communicate with your team no matter where you are. I just want to get into some of the highlights of the design. So we've just been calling them buckets, but they give you fast access to the jobs you care about. We wanted to strive for a consistent functionality and continuity between web and mobile so that coordinators could easily transition between platforms with no interruption or learning curve. The left image shows you a dispatch hub here, and at the top, you'll see a queue of jobs that are waiting to be dispatched. You can find those over on the right-hand side of the mobile app in the queue bucket. And then back on the left down here, you'll see the field workers that you're managing and what they're working on. So you'll be able to find this in the dispatch bucket. So next thing we want to highlight is that we've built in search with suggestions. So you're able to now very quickly search for jobs by region, a specific location, job number, activity, resources, and more. All you need to do is type in a few letters of what you're looking for, and IronSight will instantly provide suggestions to you to save you time and effort. So the next, we've significantly improved the performance of the app so that we can display an unlimited number of jobs at once. You don't need to jump page by page. You're able to just infinitely scroll through the results to find what you're looking for. So this means you're no longer limited to seeing one day at a time, which enables many use cases and solves a lot of problems we've encountered in the past. So field operators, or they're on site, since they're already out there, they may be curious what's due by the end of the month. Well, they can quickly set a date range for that. Or a maintenance coordinator who gets a corrective maintenance request, they'll be able to view an unlimited date range for that particular site to see if the issue is recurring on that location. We've also improved the dispatch flow. So across IronSight, the big blue button is what users use to advance the job to the next stage of the workflow. So on requested jobs, the next step is to assign a resource, and we've added a big blue button to help dispatchers assign the work to nearby resources in just a couple of taps. All right, with that, I'll show you what it actually looks like. Okay, so in this scenario, on the left-hand side, I have a dispatch hub set on the schedule, and I'm in the shoes of a electrical and instrumentation coordinator. So I can see for today, I have 5 jobs that need to be dispatched, and I'm managing 4 technicians here. So Amanda, Gus, Sally, and Tyler. And I can see what each one of those technicians is working on here, or will be working on later in the day here. I can also see their real-time location, so I'm able to limit travel distance. So in our mobile app, we'll be able to recreate this experience. So I've just logged in fresh as that dispatcher, and I'm just going to do a bit of setup to get a similar experience. So I'll go into the queue, and yeah, as a dispatcher, you're able to view many different resource types, but in this case, the only one I care about is E&I technicians. So I'm just going to set my filters for that. And I don't care about, in this case, in the queue, the entire date range. I just want to focus on today. So I've set my filters up, and the result is that I now have 5 jobs sorted by start date, which is exactly what you'll find up in the queue in Dispatch Hub. Next, I'll go into the dispatched section, and I'll sort by the assigned resource. That's important because it'll group the jobs under each assigned resource. And I'll set my resource types to only, again, caring about E&I technicians. So after doing that, I have 9 jobs, and they're grouped by the resource type or the resource. So I can see Amanda, and just like over here on Dispatch Hub, I can see the 3 jobs that she is assigned. And then as I scroll down, I can see Gus, Sally, and Tyler, and the status of the jobs that they're working on. So now that I have that all set up, I'm free to go out into the field for whatever reason. I might need to do a site visit or a safety observation or something like that. So I head out to the field, and I need to, while I'm out there, I want to check on my team. So I'll just go into the dispatch bucket again here. Looks like Amanda, she's active on a job, and she's got a lot of work for the rest of the day. So I'm just going to leave her to it. Same case for Sally and Tyler. When I look at Gus here, he's active on a job, and it looks like it's going to end right away. And I think I can keep him busy on another high priority job. So I'm just going to open up Gus's job, and I can see his real-time location and what he's working on. As I zoom out, I kind of see that he's in the Northeast Alberta field. So when I go look for another job to assign to Gus, I'm going to make sure that it's in that same region because I want to limit the travel distance. So to do that, I'm just going to go back out to the queue. And so I may see many jobs here, but I know that I want ones in Northeast Alberta field. So I can start typing NO, and you can see the suggestions start to pop up in the app. So location is Northeast Alberta field. You can also get suggestions on the resource, the requester, and so on. The top suggestion is what I'm looking for. So I'll tap that. And there's two possible jobs I should consider here. The bottom one has the high priority flag on it. So that's probably what I'm going to end up assigning to Gus. So I'm just going to open that up. And it seems like a motor's down, and they suspect it's a breaker issue. So I could just assign this right away, but I just want to double check to see that this is if this is a recurring issue on that well or not. So this is Riverside well 001. So I'm going to hop over to the completed and approved bucket, and I'll just search in Riverside well, choose the suggestion, and there's 12 jobs. So I'm just going to quickly scroll through them. And sure enough, I found a breaker issue that we completed last year. So I can review all the details about what was done and see some attachments and a note from the technician saying that there was a fuse issue on MCC number 7. So armed with that information, I might want to add additional context to the job that I'm about to dispatch. So I'll go into breaker troubleshoot. And before I assign it to Gus, I'm just going to add a note that it's likely MCC 7 fuse. So I've added that comment to the job. And now I'm going to use that big blue button to assign the job. So I'll tap that. The available resources pop up. I'm going to choose Gus from the list. You'll see that the job is now flipped to a scheduled status and Gus is assigned. When I go back, that job is no longer in the queue. And as expected, you'll find it over in the dispatch section under Gus's name. So after he's done that pressure switch repair, he'll jump right over to troubleshooting that breaker. All right, so yeah, we're really excited to offer this to all coordinators and dispatchers in the platform. We're planning on following this up with a lot of iterations to improve things, and really excited about it. So thanks a lot for listening, and yeah, we'll throw it back over to Code.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the presentations. Really excellent. And we're very excited that we could share that with you all today. If you'd like to connect with anybody, I'm just dropping some emails into the chat for everybody. Please reach out, and we're going to move on to some Q&A here. So we've got some questions that have been asked, and I'll throw it to our esteemed panelists to maybe provide some answers. If you do have a question, please use the Q&A box in the bottom of your screen there. We'll be using that to field any questions live from the audience. So with that, I'll throw our first question up. So we've got here, some of our clients still require paper tickets. If we still have to use paper tickets, how does IronSight help?
Yeah, I can jump in with that one. Any other folks on the panel want to help? But yeah, it's quite common for us when we do an implementation that, you know, you don't want to change the world, as they might say, right off the bat. So we kind of take it step by step. So again, you can continue to run your paper tickets, drop the copy. We always say there's like the jar when you're fluid hauling, there's always the jar on the lease to go put it into. You can still do that, but maybe just take a picture, attach it to the job. And at least from that point forward, you have all the information as Adam and team showed you that we can collect that all. And from there it can be digital into production accounting, into ticketing, and so on and so forth.
I'll also just hop in and say that we've seen a lot of service providers actually convince their clients to start using IronSight's approvals because it's a lot easier and there's a lot more data for them to validate that ticket. So we've seen that play out as well.
Yeah, something that we're working on. And we actually just hired an individual who's going to be helping us on the OFS side down in Midland and Odessa. And yeah, they'll be focusing on helping getting service providers to work with their clients, the demand side clients, and start using IronSight a bit more. So yeah.
Excellent. And second question here, we have clients that are outside of oil and gas. Will IronSight still work?
Yeah, I'll jump into that quickly. The answer is yes. So the one thing that we think we've figured out for the last 5 years is like request, schedule, execute, document, and then analyze. That's a very common in every industry. But Stephen, you might be able to know better.
Yeah, well, I was going to chime in that we have lots of out-of-the-box building blocks for our oil and gas customers based on years of working in that industry. But our platform is designed so that it can extend to any workflow.
Yeah, I know that's it's one of my favorite parts about the product is that kind of core universal workflow that we've built everything off of. Okay, next question here. Are you able to print the ticket from the app?
You are able to print the ticket from mobile. It's not built right into the app just yet, but there's a fairly easy way to do it. And downloading that PDF from mobile is something on the near-term roadmap.
And next question here is, I saw somewhere you can handle inventory as well. How does that work?
Yeah, I can take that one. So IronSight can track multiple different types of inventory, whether that's a big piece of equipment with a serial number on it, sort of the unserialized equipment like pipe, tubing, and we could also track fluid inventory. So that can all be tracked within IronSight. So on stuff like fluid, you don't really want to keep a balance of inventory at each location. You're more just interested in how much was moved. So that's done fairly easily, just out of the box as you're creating a job. But if you're wanting to do something more complex, like a digital pipe yard, you basically see IronSight with your current quantities. And then as jobs move quantities from A, which is your pipe yard, to B, which is a well, it'll deduct that quantity automatically and keep everything balanced.
Nice. Okay, next question here. We often don't have cell service when we're doing jobs. Do we have to get Starlink or something to make IronSight work?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, so our app is fully offline capable. So basically you can go out into the wilderness with no cell service, work on multiple jobs, attach multiple forms, photos, everything. And that's all cached on the device. And then later on, when you exit the wilderness and get a connection, it'll then send all that information to the server.
One thing about offline that we've seen is like other systems or other programs that do work offline, you have to go and manually sync it. With IronSight, it just automatically. So as soon as you gain connectivity, it auto dumps it. A couple UI improvements Adam and the product team have done, I've seen, is it actually just lets you know. So like if you start a job at 6:25, it'll just say, hey, we cannot send this in, but we've seen that you went active at 6:25. We've seen that you completed a form at 7:48. It'll show you. So it's actually just letting you know that you're offline, but storing it. Just a sense of reassurance that things are actually happening offline. Great questions you're throwing at us, Colin.
Thank the audience here. Let's see here. I guess this one is a little bit more of a comment than a question, but I'll throw it out there anyways in case we have comments. We're halfway through building our own scheduling app, and as far as I know, it won't be close to the same experience. Any thoughts?
You're halfway. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
halfway through building your own scheduling app. And as far as I know, it won't close to the same experience. Yeah, it's not easy doing this. We've ran into clients that have attempted to build their own, either a ticketing solution or a scheduling. Yeah, we have I think a team of just over 20 dedicated on the engineering and product and design and QA that do that for thousands and thousands of users. So I'd say we're doing it at scale, and yeah, but I wish you the best. If we can help you in any way, then more than happy to help you out and share some knowledge that we've learned over the years. But I don't know, Adam, Craig, anything else you guys see from your side?
I think the other thing that's difficult to replicate if you're building something in-house is the network of service providers and producers that we have, standardized forms and things like TDG, things like that. I think can't really replicate those in a closed ecosystem.
Yeah, I think our initial build was 2014, and we've just been iterating over the years to get it to this point. So it's been a lot of work, and I'd be happy to meet with you and share some of my experiences and yeah, give you some pointers.
Nice. Okay, we got 2 more questions here. So second last one here is, how long does it take to set up?
Well, we have a record. I shout out Estavold oil field in North Dakota. They called us, or they submitted a demo request. We called them, and I think Adam was on the call, so I'll let him go from there. But I think it was 27 minutes. I'll specifically talk on a producer side. We're seeing anything from 2 weeks, but most commonly it's 2 to 4 weeks, and we can be up and rolling. But Adam's working heavily on other stuff to help that too. So
yeah, so if it's just if you're not connected to hundreds of companies, like some of our clients are, if it's just a fairly small operation, we're confident we could have you up and running in hours or within a day. It's just more of the change management of all these companies that are working together on this platform that can add to some of the implementation time. As far as what the product's doing to speed up implementation, today we demoed how quick it is to set up a workflow. It took me 10, 15 seconds to build a fluid hauling workflow using those Lego blocks, as Stephen called them. We're also working on one of the big hurdles that we often have to overcome is the locations. Some of our clients have hundreds of thousands of them, and we need those to be available in IronSight. So we're working on a way to streamline that during the onboarding process as well.
Nice. Okay, last question that we got here. It's a pretty good one. Will you have a CMMS module?
Yeah, so we've already we have experience working with a few of those integration examples that I brought up, including some CMMS providers. So yes, we'd love to talk to you about exactly what information you'd like to move into those other systems, because that's how we work with companies who have dozens of different digital systems, and IronSight plays nice with them.
yeah, I've learned to never say never. So I don't see us going out and building a module anytime soon. It's just not our focus. We're focused on the request, schedule, execute, document, and analyze the data. More of we get called field data capture all the time and feed into those CMMS systems quite nicely. SAP, eMate, Opley, big one in Canada that we've been seeing. eMate more so maybe in the US. But yeah, it's a good question. We try to play nice with them.
Awesome. Okay, that is it for questions that I have here. So with that, we will wrap things up. We'll be sending out just had one more come through here. To integrate with Open Invoice and other buyer portals.
Yes. So feed into Open Ticket nicely. We set everything up as Adam showed you for QuickBooks. Same can be done on the Open Invoice side. Believe we're working into Ariba. So that's another SAP module. It's their payment module. The answer is yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, some great presentations and great questions here at the end.